Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Entertainment with Buford and Francis. Today, I'm cosplaying as Francis from the Fairly Odd Parents, and I'll be telling the story of the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Enjoy the video. In 1462, as three Roma sneak illegally into Paris, are ambushed by a squadron of soldiers working for Judge Claude Frollo, the Minister of Justice and de facto ruler of Paris. A Romani woman attempts to flee with her baby, but Frollo, thinking the woman is carrying stolen goods, chases her. She manages to evade him briefly to arrive at Notre Dame. She pounds on the door, begging for sanctuary, but Frollo catches up to her and grabs the bundle from her arms, kicking her away in the process, and causing her to fall and fatally strike her head on the steps of Notre Dame. Frollo then realizes that the stolen goods was her infant son, who is deformed, and declares the baby a monster. He spots a nearby well and attempts to drop the baby into it, but the archdeacon appears and stops him. Frollo tries to claim that the baby is an unholy demon that he's sending back to hell, where it belongs. The archdeacon accuses him of murdering an innocent woman and attempting to murder a newborn baby. Frollo denies that he's in the wrong, saying his conscience is clear, but the archdeacon declares that he can lie to himself all he wants, but he cannot hide his crime from the eyes of Notre Dame, statues of the saints outside the cathedral. Fearing for his soul and in order to atone for his sin, Frollo reluctantly agrees to raise the deformed child as his own, hiding him in the cathedral's bell tower and naming him Quasimodo. He notes that someday the child may be of use to him. 20 years later, in 1482, Quasimodo has developed into a kind yet isolated young man employed as Notre Dame's bell ringer. He keeps 3 gargoyles, Victor, Hugo, and Laverne, and the pigeons that roost on the cathedral as his only company. He constantly told by Frollo that he is a monster who would be rejected by the uncaring outside world. Though he believes Frollo, he still yearns to go outside for even a single day. Every year, Quasimodo looks forward to seeing the Festival of Fools, but this time the thought of the festival leaves him depressed, as he never gets to attend. Quasimodo's friends insist he go as he loves the festival and would have fun. Quasimodo reminds them he can't leave the tower because Frollo has forbidden it. After some prompting, Quasimodo almost leaves, but Frollo arrives at just the moment to bring him lunch. While reviewing the alphabet, Quasimodo accidentally lets slip that his thoughts are on the festival, and Frollo becomes angry that Quasimodo wants to go to the festival. Quasimodo points out that Frollo goes every year. Frollo explains he goes because he is a public official despite hating every second of it. He reminds Quasimodo that nobody would like him because of his appearance and how after his mother abandoned him, he would have been treated poorly. Had Frollo not taken him in. Before leaving, Frollo reminds Quasimodo that the bell tower is his only safe haven. Despite these warnings, Quasimodo still wishes to see the city and plans to sneak out of the cathedral to attend the Feast of Fools. Meanwhile, Captain Phoebus, who had been away at war, has returned to Paris to serve as Frollo's new captain of the guards. He is charmed by a Romani dancer named Esmeralda, performing with her pet goat Jolly. When she is accused of stealing the money she earned by dancing, Phoebus distracts and humiliates the British and Oatfish guards, who harass her. After Phoebus pulls rank on the guards, they escort him to the Palace of Justice. There Phoebus meets with Frollo, who after hearing about his war record expects Phoebus to be the perfect replacement for his last captain, who was a bit of a disappointment. Frollo explains that Phoebus's job will be to help him eradicate the Roma from Paris, a task he has been attempting himself for the past 20 years. Frollo has heard of their safe haven called the Court of Miracles, and shows Phoebus that he intended to destroy it like the bugs under a stone. Phoebus uncomfortably acknowledges Frollo's point. A cheer from the crowd beneath Notre Dame reminds Frollo that duty calls, and he orders Phoebus to accompany him to the festival. Quasimodo sneaks down to the town square and finds he has a front row seat to the master of ceremonies. Clopin announces the start of the Feast of Fools. Quasimodo tries to stay out of sight, but is followed and harassed by Clopin until he accidentally stumbles into Esmeralda's tent. She helps him up and compliments him on his mask. Frollo arrives at the festival, escorted by Phoebus and his guards, and Phoebus has the guards disperse through the crowd to keep an eye on things. Frollo sits in his designated booth, only to be startled and irritated by Clopin, who announces Esmeralda's dance performance. The crowd is smitten by Esmeralda, none more so than Frollo, Phoebus, and Quasimodo. After the dance, Clopin announces the contest for King of Fools, and Esmeralda pulls Quasimodo onto the stage to join the contest. She and the crowd are shocked to learn that Quasimodo's face is not a mask, and Frollo is angered to see that Quasimodo had disobeyed him to attend the festival. At first, Quasimodo is embarrassed and tries to hide his face, but Clopin quells the alarmed crowd by reminding them they were looking for the ugliest face in Paris and found it. Quasimodo is crowned King of Fools and paraded around the square, receiving cheers, praise, and kisses. The joy is short-lived, however, when the Oatfish Guard interrupts the celebration by throwing rotten fruit at Quasimodo. Other soldiers follow suit, and the crowd quickly joins in, tying Quasimodo down so they can continue to mock and humiliate him. Quasimodo calls out desperately for his master to help. Frollo ignores Quasimodo's pleas, even holding back Phoebus's attempt to stop the cruelty. The crowd only stops when a kind Esmeralda frees Quasimodo from his restraints and openly defies Frollo. She then throws Quasimodo's prop crown at Frollo, deeming him to be the biggest fool. The judge immediately orders her arrest, but she escapes with help from the crowd, her fellow Roma, acrobatics, and few illusions, which Frollo refers to as witchcraft. Frollo then confronts Quasimodo and sends him back inside the cathedral before ordering Phoebus to bring Esmeralda to him alive. Esmeralda follows Quasimodo to find him, but she's followed by Phoebus. The two engage in combat briefly, with Phoebus defending while trying to convince her that he means her no harm. Phoebus states he refuses to arrest her inside the cathedral, convincing Esmeralda that he is friendly. After the two are introduced, Frollo comes inside and orders Phoebus to arrest her, but Phoebus covers for her, saying that she has claimed sanctuary and thus cannot be arrested as long as she remains in Notre Dame. Frollo finally leaves when the Archdeacon intervenes, but not before grabbing Esmeralda's arm and threatening her. He tells her he's patient and she won't last long inside the church. He then sniffs her hair, claiming to imagine her with a noose around her neck, but Esmeralda is not fooled and expresses her disgust. Frollo accuses her of twisting his mind and giving him unholy thoughts. He leaves, but not before warning Esmeralda that his men will capture her the moment she attempts to escape the cathedral. The Archdeacon advises Esmeralda to not anger Frollo anymore. She then voices her frustration with the fact that not one person from the crowd helped Quasimodo because he is different. The Archdeacon tells her that perhaps someone within the church can help her right all the wrongs of this world. After watching everyone praying, Esmeralda prays for all those suffering, and in particular for her people, or outcasts in the society. Quasimodo listens in on her prayer, but is called out by a parishioner. He stumbles and runs back to his tower, Esmeralda following and attempting to apologize for her part in exposing Quasimodo's face to the crowd. Esmeralda demonstrates genuine kindness and praises Quasimodo for his artistic talent, forming a friendship with the bell ringer. Quasimodo shows her around his home, including his wooden city, the gargoyles, the bells, which she introduces by name, and the view from the top of the tower. He even invites her to stay, but she states that she cannot. He then states that she's nothing like the Roma Frollo told him about. She asks how a cruel man like Frollo could have raised a sweet little man like Quasimodo. Quasimodo explains that Frollo took him in when no one else would because of his appearance. Esmeralda performs a palm reading on Quasimodo's hand and tells him he's not a monster at all. She then asks him if he thinks she is evil, to which he empathetically responds that she is good and kind to him. As gratitude for helping him in the crowd, Quasimodo helps Esmeralda escape Notre Dame. In return, Esmeralda invites him to leave Notre Dame with her, but he declines because of what happened that day and says that the cathedral is his home. Before leaving, Esmeralda promises to visit and gives Quasimodo a map to Romani hideout, the Court of Miracles, in case he should ever need sanctuary outside of Notre Dame. After Quasi returns to the tower, he encounters Phoebus, who is searching for Esmeralda. Quasimodo is angry to see a guard searching his tower and demands that he leave. Phoebus explains that he is sorry for trapping Esmeralda in the church, and he only wanted to keep her from being harmed. Before leaving, Phoebus tells Quasimodo to Esmeralda she's lucky to have a friend like Quasimodo. Back in the tower, three gargoyles comment on how well he defended his girl. At first, Quasimodo laughs at the notion, thinking he has no hope for love because of his appearance, but shortly after concludes that if one person can love him for who he is, then he may have true happiness in his grasp after all.